Crude oil is going to become the new global pandemic. And that's a scary word. Oil price is $87 a barrel. Looks like they're going to go continually higher. Looks like we're in a position now where all the answers, solutions, and probable factors are disappearing day after day. And the new pandemic is not going to be a disease like COVID-19. It's going to be immeasurable financial harm to the entire globe. Any country, any user that is relied upon and has no alternative solution in the short term to burning crude oil and the byproducts from refined crude oil and natural gas and liquefied natural gas is going to find that their economy is going to suffer all kinds of symptoms that can be fatal. Fatal to economic growth, fatal to economic stability, fatal to their debt and the cost of capital. And we all sit back and think to ourselves, don't worry, it's going to be solve the problem tomorrow. They're going to get the strait open tomorrow. They're going to find additional barrels of oil around the globe to make up the supply differential. The supply that is not going through the Strait of Hormuz, other countries will find and produce it. But let me tell you something, this is an economic pandemic. And the economic pandemic is not going to be broad spread. It's not going to be select. It's going to be fully inclusive of any country or consumer that utilizes crude oil and fossil fuels for all the different byproducts, such as fertilizer and gasoline and diesel and jet fuel and plastics and wood and laminates and medicines and syringes and swag and the microphone I use. It's all made from byproducts from oil and gas. And this pandemic started with the war of the United States and Israel against Libya and against Iran. And the shutting down of the Strait of Hormuz was the pinnacle point. It was the point by which everybody said some countries are moving quickly to a ventilator. And that ventilator is we now have economic recoil that we don't know how to handle because the actual event of the disruption in supply was cataclysmic from day one. It's going to recoil because what's happening is it was dramatic, it was immediate, and it was impactful. Every country, every economic consideration was based on a certain amount of consistency in terms of energy. When you disrupt that by as much as 15 to 20% of supply, the downstream is not a 15 or 20% disruption, it's exponential. And the exponential component is how long will this disruption last? Well, if you don't face the piper and you don't face the tune of how the reality of a war of the U.S. against Iran and the disruption by the supply not coming through the Strait of Hormuz, if you don't realize the effects and admit to them and then monitor and manage your economic downfall and your economic reset to your strategy, you are basically denying the reality of truth. And the truth is today, we're at about $87 a barrel this afternoon on West Texas Intermediate price. We're in the upper 90s when it comes to Brent and Murbain oil. What the globe is saying, and if you look at the derivatives going forward, they're saying it's probably in the future potentially $135 a barrel. Can that be? Can that happen? 100% it can happen. You think that oil and gas companies control the throttle? They don't. We're producing across the globe as much as we can give you in the ships and the pipelines and everything else that can happen. And all we have is about 90 million barrels a day for 102 million barrels a day of appetite. So those countries, those consumers, those end users that have the cash, have the economic capacity to consume and buy and purchase that 90 million barrels of oil, they will be the ones that get it. The countries that don't have the economic bandwidth, the consumers, the people that live in those countries can't afford that diesel, that fuel, that jet fuel, those plastics, that fertilizer, are going to stop using it and diminish what they do with that fossil fuel byproduct. That means less food. That means starvation. That means poverty. That means increase. That means projects will stop. Economic development will stop. That means we're facing a triculation of outcome as a result of a shortage of supply that truly will be like a pandemic. Think back. When COVID-19 started, it caused shortages and supply shortages and fear and overpaying and ridiculous costs. Masks went from 50 cents a mask to $1 a mask to $2 a mask because why? I had to have it because it was terminal if I caught COVID-19. Well, today, economies like Japan and Europe and the Caribbean and other countries that are net importers of fossil fuel are saying, how long will this last? How much money do we have to spare? How much resources will we have to eliminate as a result of the pandemic of the shortage of supply of crude oil around the world? So then the question becomes, if it is a longer-term pandemic of a shortage of crude oil supply, how do we now realize that, step up and confront that, and manage it going forward? It's called demand destruction. Stop using luxury consumptions of fossil fuel you don't have to have. But even if the demand destruction eliminates 1, 2, 3 million barrels a day off the 102 million barrels a day that's being consumed by the planet Earth, the fact of the matter is the lack of supply far outweighs that's demand destruction. What we're really going to see is an increase in demand in high income, high economy markets like the United States and China and Europe and other countries that are doing well and pressing forward with artificial intelligence. They're going to consume an enormous amounts of fossil fuels, even if other countries cut back. Folks, today where we're at is real simple. This is a simple economics 101, supply and demand. Demand is growing much higher than any demand destruction. Supply is stuck and trying its best to increase. Now it's a matter of timing. The timing to save the economies around the world is not going to be fast enough. We're about to see the backlash or the back recoil for what lack of supply has been for 5 months. And it tells me we're looking at oil much higher than $110 a barrel. I still say we could see $125 a barrel by December 31st this year. The piper's going to get paid, and we're going to have to pay it.